Hey, Emma.
Yes, Mel.
What do you call it when your sister tells a bad joke at the start of the podcast and you really want to let out a big exhale, but you think that's kind of mean, so you hold it in, but you still tend to do it mentally?
Man, I would love to know.
Yeah, I figured you would. You call it a MindsEye. Hello and welcome to Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I also had one where the punchline was Sunset Overdrive, if that would have been better. Host Madelyn.
I'm your barely finished host, Emma.
And thanks for tuning in to this week's show. I understand that now. That took me a minute. This week, we're talking about Sunset Overdrive and MindsEye.
Yeah. 2 games.
2 games, possibly.
Yeah.
Definitely 1 game.
Definitely 1 game in there.
We'll get there. But we gotta start with Sunset Overdrive before we debate whether MindsEye is a game. It's a game.
It is a game.
It did prompt me to read the IGN article that's like, why most games get 7 or above.
Yeah. Well, Sunset Overdrive then.
Sunset Overdrive is a 2014 action-adventure, colorful Tony Hawk shooter situation from Insomniac, published by Microsoft, originally exclusively for Xbox One, and then in 2018 for Windows, which, as we know, is just an Xbox. Sunset Overdrive is like a really kind of colorful, sort of post-apocalyptic, but like the apocalypse is mad funny situation. Set in 2027. So it's a shame we couldn't have saved this. We really should have saved this for 2027.
You're right. We're just telling you the future here.
Exactly. Like, maybe honestly. Like, could be.
It could be.
Everyone, like, wanting a sequel and speculating about a sequel is probably foolish to imagine that they are going to do that before waiting to be able to release it in 2027, which would be really funny.
That would be really funny. But also, getting ahead of ourselves, but sequel rumors were pretty much dispelled with the big Insomniac leak.
Well, there was a sequel.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a sequel because they're making Spiderman.
Forever.
Which I was struck, like, reading about Sunset Overdrive, like, how much it's like, I totally understand how they ended up making a Spider-Man game.
Oh, yeah. You read about this, you're like, oh, this is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Or it's not. It's, like, really not. But you read about this and you understand how someone who is smart would look at this game and go, these people should make Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
So shout out to Sony or whoever made that choice because, yeah.
Sunset Overdrive is also kind of a rare artifact of Insomniac's resume because, of course, they are now owned by Sony, but even before that, they were working pretty closely with Sony only on, like, all the Ratchet and Clank games and stuff, whereas this is an Xbox exclusive when it came out.
They really wanted to keep control of the IP.
Yeah.
I mean, I did read that it came out in the leak that Xbox really would have had the rights. Like, even though they said in a bunch of interviews, I couldn't figure this out. In a bunch of interviews, they said, no, like, even though Sony bought us, we could still make this game, right? There's not an issue. There's no issue with us making the game. We own the IP. But then it seems like it came out in the leak that actually Xbox really would have owned the next 2 sequels and, like, any DLC or whatever. I was a little confused by that.
I don't know. I didn't look too closely into the leak stuff, honestly.
Well, Emma's a good person.
I don't know if there would be problems with, like, it's not necessarily like Xbox couldn't, like, be like, okay, we're taking Sunset Overdrive and Compulsion Games is going to make it. They don't own the IP in that sense. No, I know that. But I don't know if it would have been like, but it has to be exclusive to our console. And since they're now owned by Sony, I don't know how if they could do that.
Well, regardless, it makes total sense, even apart from any contractual stuff that would have had to be worked out. If you're Sony, why would you want to make a sequel to an Xbox exclusive game?
Exactly.
You wouldn't.
Yeah.
And certainly not one that, like, Sunset Overdrive is a cult classic, and it sold pretty well, but it didn't make money.
Yeah, according to the leak, it did not actually generate very much profit.
Right. Well, but it sold a couple million copies. Like, it's more of a damning take into what it takes to be a successful game.
Yeah.
Right. You could say it's a cult classic, but it's a cult classic that a fair number of people played.
Yeah.
Anyway, what is Sunset Overdrive? So you, a character named Player, which, man, your mileage may vary on whether you find this game funny or not.
Sure.
Per the reviews. Back to back, I read the IGN review that was like, this game is so funny. I was laughing nonstop. It was hilarious. What an incredible, humorous gem. And then I read the Kotaku review that was like, this game is so dumb. Like, throughout the review, it kept going, get it? Get it?
Right.
To make fun of the game. So, whether or not this is mad funny for you, it's certainly mad funny. I think it falls into the mad funny genre.
Absolutely.
But it's mad funny in that maybe you wouldn't consider it to be mad funny, potentially. It might be a little cringe. Can you believe Borderlands 4 came out? I feel like that's happened and I missed it.
Yeah, who cares? Well, Silksong came out.
You're right. I forgot that Silksong sucked all the air out of the Borderlands 4 release.
You think Borderlands 4 can compete with Silksong? Come on.
If they put Hornet into Borderlands 4, they'd print money.
Hades is coming out in less than 2 weeks.
I know.
There's no space for Borderlands 4 in here.
God, I've got to play some video games. I've been too busy to play video games, and they're piling up. I want to play Hades 2.
Me too.
But I have to finish Clair Obscur, and I have to play Deltarune, and I have to play more UFO 50, and I have all these... There's too many games. Thank God that Sunset Overdrive. Thank God Nicole Scherzinger isn't singing up a storm.
Sunset Boulevard video game. Putting that out there. I don't know what it is, but I'm putting it out into the air.
Yeah.
For anyone to pick up.
Yeah. Anyway, in Sunset Overdrive, you play as a player called Player. And in 2027, the far-off future, you live in Sunset City. And you work for a company called Fizzco, which makes energy drinks.
Right.
And Fizzco has just made a new energy drink called Overcharge that they basically rushed through production with the goal of making a bunch of money. They give it out in a big event to a huge amount of the city, and it's bad. It turns you into a boil-covered mutant.
Yeah. It's really good that we have a really functional FDA right now, and that this isn't at all believable, you know?
No, couldn't happen. Couldn't happen to me. An energy drink would turn me into a boil-covered mutant just like a normal one, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I think if I had, like, a monster, I might turn into an overcharged drinker.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, I'm safe. This could never be me. Anyway, the mutants take over the city, basically, in Horror Night, as they call it. And you manage to escape. Somebody kind of saves you from the ODs, as they're called. You didn't drink the drink. Like, you're good. But, Fizzco is like, this is a public relations disaster, and we're a powerful corporation. So they quarantine the whole city, and you are trapped.
Yes.
And over the course of the game, you have to work with a cast of wacky characters in wacky situations to escape and or save the city.
And have fun doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was their first, like, open world game. Mm-hmm. Insomniac's first open world game. It was also a game where they were coming off of making a game called Fuse.
Which did not do well.
Which did not do well. And also, they had initially announced Fuse as, like, a much more colorful game when it was first announced. And then, as it developed, it turned into something a lot, like, grimmer and bleaker.
Brown.
Yes. So Sunset Overdrive was, in a lot of ways, like, them returning to what they thought they were actually good at.
Course correction.
I read a few articles. There's a Polygon one about like them announcing Sunset Overdrive, and everyone was like, yeah, it in a weird way, like on like Fuse, especially like getting bad reviews on Fuse was like it kind of validated their self-confidence in a weird way of being like, okay, so yes, we know what we do well.
Yeah.
And we can stick to our guns, and that's actually what people want to see from us. And so they sort of brought that back in Sunset Overdrive of really going for like these big, bold aesthetics. Although the game itself seems to have gone through a few different iterations of like what it was. Like at first it was much more sort of like just sort of walking around type stuff. But apparently there was like an internal game jam. And people had kept trying to sneak skateboards into the game prior to this. Apparently it was like an actual problem. So they had this internal game jam, and the rule was no skateboards. And so everybody just seemed to find ways to add traversal that wasn't skateboards but did what skateboards would do.
Nice.
And that turned out to be like, oh, actually we really like that. Right. Yeah. We really want to put an emphasis on like traversal and like grinding on rails and like moving and shooting at the same time and that sort of stuff. But when they did add that, there was a problem then with like the environmental design of there was a lot of indoor spaces that didn't actually, they would like Wile E. Coyote into the walls all the time because
will it grind?
It would not, it was not suited for it. So the city, the environment itself underwent another transformation. There's actually a lot of like interesting talks about like the tech. There was a game developer article on like how they even like made it, because they used the same sort of tech that you would use in like a hallway game with like loading zones with it being open world. They just had to adjust it to suit the thing. So they're talking about like you don't always have to remake your tools for the game that you're making. Sometimes you just have to
come up with creative ways to use them.
Yes, I think the quote was like, sometimes cheese pizza's good. You don't have to put that. You don't have to put a lot of stuff on your pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's other stuff like about I don't remember which one I was reading this in, but they're talking about like, oh, we had to like really place the buildings carefully to encourage like your momentum, right? Like the space between buildings has to be conducive to you like moving around the world.
Yeah.
And so we have to create these spaces specifically so that you can traverse in them fun. And that was the part where I was like, oh, okay. That's why they made Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there was a quote from, sort of talking about what they learned from Sunset Overdrive going into Spider-Man. And I think this was an IGN article. So it was it was about Ratchet and Clank, actually. It was the director of Ratchet and Clank, Mike Daly, who said this. Is they said, what we found with developing Sunset Overdrive, one of the things I think worked really well in Spider-Man, is giving the player a bigger moveset to tackle their challenges than is strictly necessary. Since you have so many more permutations of the ways to handle threats or navigate spaces than you did before, it feels a lot more personal and customizable, like you would really solve that problem, which makes all the gameplay that much more satisfying. You know what that reminds me of?
What?
Take a guess.
I don't know.
What do you think I'm going to say?
Spider-Man.
Trine.
Trine. Yes, fair enough.
Give the player more boxes than is strictly necessary.
So true.
The fundamental rule of games. I did want to say, though, circling back here a little bit, it's crazy. Like, you tell me, is it just that Insomniac was big enough to sustain this? Or is it an earlier era of games, or both? Because now, if you have a game that does bad, you never make another game.
Yeah. I think it was an earlier era of games, yeah, for sure.
Like, that struck me as even this game didn't do that well, but it struck me as I was thinking of their previous game. I was like, oh, that was bad. Like, that's actually crazy that you had the opportunity to say, oh, we tried something else, and actually people didn't like it. You
Development
can't do
time,
that now.
I think even in like the early 10s, development time was like not as protracted as it is now, with exceptions, obviously.
Sure.
Right. There was obviously some growing pains moving from like the like PS2 into PS3 sort of times. But yeah, I just think that they were making games at a pace where if they had something that didn't do so well, that was okay. Still.
Yeah.
And I don't think Fuse like failed.
Sure. I'm just like, oh, the ability to learn from something.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
Is crazy. Also want to say, I know it sounded like I was describing what some might call a narrative for this game earlier. I want to be very clear that that is not what I was describing, because per Marcus Smith, who I didn't actually write down his role, but he was one of the core creators on this game is, quote, the opposite of The Last of Us. So despite the fact that that may have sounded like a game with a narrative, as we all know, The Last of Us invented narrative, so there is simply no way that this game could have a narrative.
So true. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. I mean, obviously they were pushing that because it was an Xbox exclusive coming out the year after The Last of Us.
Yeah.
I should probably put The Last of Us in the hat, huh?
Oh, that's crazy talk. But yeah, probably.
I think we did did we do The Last of Us Part 2? I'm not
I
sure.
sort of feel like you avoided doing that.
I might have. But I should probably put The Last of Us in the hat. Anyway, that has nothing to do with this because it's the opposite of The Last of Us.
Well, even apart from the obvious marketing ploy in the Xbox versus PlayStation of it, it is quite true. I mean, this game is not a stealth shooter and was very self-consciously not a stealth shooter. It's not like that was an accident. They really intentionally said, this is not a game where you're going to hide and shoot.
Yes. Yes, they bring that up a lot. That's like a core design tenet to like be doing something other than ducking behind cover and waiting for enemies to come out.
Yeah.
And that is sort of what it is, right? As we mentioned, like traversal is like a big part of this. So you're mostly doing a lot of like grinding and shooting at stuff. And there was just a lot of like technical talk about this game. They talked about having to like make the AI know how to go up and down.
That does sound challenging.
Also, I know, right? Like it sounds simple, but then you're like, maybe it is. That is kind of challenging.
Like, I don't know how to go up and down.
So they had to like give them like groupthink, apparently.
Interesting.
Like they have sort of like a hive mind, so that they like move together, and like they send them like prime spots that they can go based on where the player
AI
is.
doesn't make any sense.
I
to
know.
me.
It was reading about it, I was like, wow. They gotta do a lot to get these computer programs to work right. But because you're like running and gunning, you also want the enemy to sort of be doing that and not just like shooting them like flies in a barrel, right?
That's not the phrase, but yeah.
What is the phrase?
It's not flies.
Pigs? Is it pigs in a barrel?
No!
Is it not flies in a barrel?
It's fish in a barrel.
Okay.
Oh, I like pigs in a barrel. It's pigs in a blanket.
That's it. There you go. Flies, fish.
How would you shoot flies in a barrel?
I thought about that after I said it, but it sounded right in my head. So I guess you do want them to be like flies in a barrel.
Yeah.
Kind of. That's sort of the goal.
That sounds a little hard.
Yeah. They also put a big like emphasis on the soundtrack. There was like a Digital Trends interview about how they developed the soundtrack, which uses a lot of bands but is all original music composed for the game.
Mm-hmm.
But also they were talking about like we had these like tracks for a while that like weren't quite the correct tempo for battle, and it was like in usability testing, they were seeing that the soundtrack actually made players worse at the game for a while.
Crazy.
And so they added all these dynamic systems to like bring stuff in and change the tempo based on like what was happening and like whether the player was being targeted to help them like actually be able to get better at the game through the soundtrack rather than vice versa. Which is also something I haven't really thought about before, but it's very true, I feel like.
It's very like a Hi-Fi Rush, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're very different, but yeah. Yeah, soundtrack that makes you bad at the game. That'd be a cool thing to use intentionally.
Yeah, that would be.
This game also has character creator, right? Pretty progressive character creator for the time, I'd say. But they talked about originally having like RPG stats tied to your outfits, and then they were like, F that.
Dude, I miss that, to be honest. All RPGs have like a cosmetic option in addition to like your equipment option now, so you can make your characters look however you want. Yeah. I think that is cowardly.
Wow.
Having just gone off playing SMT for Apocalypse, looking like the stupidest idiot in the entire world. That's what I want from my video game.
Your stuff has to be stupid enough looking, though. I mean, the disappointing thing is if your armor that you want is really boring.
True.
So you've got to make sure you got the right bold aesthetics to make that work. But I agree.
I think especially in a game like this, that could have been fun still. It might have just been one too many systems to ultimately manage, too. Yeah. But, like, wearing very stupid clothes for the stats or vice versa.
Yeah.
Could have been funny for a mad funny sort of video game. Yeah. You know?
People also really like the respawn system.
Yes. It's just like any other respawn system, but you come out doing a funny animation.
And people really liked that.
Yeah, it did. There was like a Eurogamer piece on it that was like, why don't developers like rethink the basics enough?
Yeah.
Right? Of like, yeah, this is essentially the same as any sort of respawn, but it's like trying to do something different to make that system like more fun aesthetically, even if it's mechanically the same.
Yeah.
And it's true. Usually with respawns, you just sort of show back up.
Yep.
Like it never happened. In this one, you do a Bill and Ted's reference, or come out of a coffin, or some ODs throw you out of a van and drive away. And that is kind of more fun.
Fun is good. Emma, guess what the lead writer's name is?
I know.
Did you see that?
I did.
Think we're related?
No. I've heard that there is a lot of, like, this name's pretty common in French Canada.
Not here.
No, but I have heard that it's somewhat common up there.
Well, we've left the motherland.
We truly have, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you don't think they'll ever bring it back?
No. They're on Spiderman duty forever.
That's such a tricky situation to end up in, isn't it?
And they're technically making Wolverine, right? They haven't canceled that or anything.
I don't know.
They're on superhero duty forever.
It's big, it gives... Is it the Russo brothers? Is that what I'm thinking of?
The like Marvel guys?
Yeah, almost literally.
Yes, Yes. The Coen brothers is the other one.
Yes.
The other brothers.
It's not Coen brothers. Yeah. It gives big, we liked your paintball episodes of Community. Now you're directing Star Wars.
Yeah. That's kind of true.
But it's so interesting to think about, right? Because as you were saying, I mean, obviously the traversal and the tool set and the kind of continuous moving fun of this makes this studio seem like a natural fit for Spider-Man. And of course, if you're offered a Spider-Man game, you're going to take it. But it is sort of funny to think about, you know, now you can never make anything else in that calculus. Like, you've traded, on one hand, probably a really fun project, but also you're trapped.
To be fair, they did make another Ratchet and Clank.
Sure.
In between Spider-Man 1 and 2.
Sure.
So, theoretically, they can do.
Well, some of the team had to take a couple years to learn how to do realistic water. So, they had to work on something else.
Yes, they had to make larger puddles.
Yeah, like the puddle team was training.
Yeah.
So they had a little bit of time.
Yeah, they're having like a shonen anime training arc for puddles. While everyone else was like, I guess we'll make a PS5 launch title, Ratchet and Clank.
You guys have fun. I don't know. I feel like Jet Set Radio came back.
Well, theoretically.
Is maybe coming back.
They've announced it. They announced it in like their big like a big sizzle reel of like all the stuff, which Shinobi has come out now of that.
I just feel like there's energy behind this kind of game right now, a little bit, but who knows? You're right to say they simply cannot make it. But a remaster,
maybe.
I could see that. Well, speaking of games that will not get remastered, MindsEye.
MindsEye is allegedly a game that did come out this year.
Possibly a game.
No,
it's a game.
Yeah, I don't always. So the reason we're talking like that is it is a very big production disaster, and I feel like
the biggest disaster of the year so far, I think.
Yeah, Concord was last year, right?
Concord might have been 2 years ago.
God, don't say that.
But there was something else that was big and horrible last year, and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
I feel like I usually try not to put these sort of disasters in the hat, but I feel like MindsEye is like an interesting...
Oh, it's weird. It's a disaster on several weird levels.
Yeah, and also just like a microcosm of like a lot of things in the games industry that's kind of imploding right now, you know?
Yeah.
So I thought it would be an interesting one to talk about.
Okay, so to talk about the game, it will be so much less interesting to talk about the game than everything around the game, to be honest. But to talk about the game, MindsEye came out in June. It's an action-adventure game from Build a Rocket Boy, which, unpack that for me. What does that mean?
Build a rocket boy. A boy who is a rocket.
Okay, great. Not an imperative.
There's no comma, so.
Yeah, but that wouldn't necessarily be... Okay, anyway. So we're building a rocket boy. It's a Scottish studio, really founded by Leslie Benzies, which is such a funny name.
It's a good name.
It is a good name. He's a longtime Grand Theft Auto Rockstar guy who left that company in pretty acrimonious.
It's so... I couldn't find any information on like what exactly seems to have happened. He claims that he went on a long sabbatical after Grand Theft Auto 5 came out on like the company's recommendation.
Yeah.
And then while he was gone, like his son, who also happened to work for Rockstar, and like people that were in his circle were all fired. And when he got back, his office was locked and his email was locked, and they told him to leave. And he sued them, and they seem to have settled confidentially out of court.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah.
Seems to be the prevailing sentiment on whatever happened there.
Anyway, he left and was not happy about how he left.
No.
Is the important takeaway for the purposes of this. And also he worked on Grand Theft Auto for a long time as like a pretty key member of that team.
Yes.
So anyway, he then went from there, founded Build a Rocket Boy, which got a bunch of funding from NetEase. Was sort of this like multinational, really big company, and their big project. Sorry, why don't I talk about this game first?
Yes.
Pause. So MindsEye is a really classic, to put it in positive light, like linear action adventure game, kind of Mafia-esque is how I was seeing it described. So you're Jacob Diaz, you're a former soldier, dealing with some memory loss, dealing with some trauma, and you've got like a brain implant. And what you're doing is you're going to Red Rock, which is like, it's basically Vegas, to figure out, you're working for a company called the Silva Corporation, kind of dealing with rogue robots, but really what you're trying to do is figure out what's the deal with your MindsEye implant, and you're trying to find this guy, Hunter Morrison, who's the guy who developed the implant. Bunch of stuff happens, like you're working for the CEO, eventually you find Morrison, things get weird with the robots, spoilers, maybe there are aliens, ultimately you sacrifice yourself to save humanity and maybe become a robot, and then you get to run around the city as some random other guy.
Yes. If you're really curious about MindsEye, I really recommend the Digital Trends review by Giovanni Colantonio.
Oh, this is the one with the pasta salad recipe,
yeah,
right?
It's got a really good pasta salad recipe in it, and also just kind of gives you the highlights of the game in bullet point format.
Yeah.
Which, like, as the quote, it's like, I can't give you a proper review. I can only offer you ground beef. And yeah.
Yeah, the start of that review I had written down, too. It was very good. I am going to quote this. It's to sell you all in this review. It goes, imagine that you're a food critic. You're assigned to review a hot new American bistro downtown. You've been hearing a lot of buzz about it before its grand opening, with the owners even throwing around the word revolutionary. You get there, sit down at a table, and order a simple hamburger. A simple order, but a baseline test to see how well the restaurant has mastered the fundamentals. The waiter comes back 15 minutes later with a plate of raw ground beef. Yeah. This is what MindsEye is.
Yeah, it's a very good, fun review of a very sad project. So.
Yeah. He also says, I think this is all summed up best by the fact I get a splash screen when beating the game that tells me to enjoy the additional gameplay experiences, but the word additional is misspelled.
Yes. So, yeah, it's not even just that MindsEye is like a broken, buggy mess, because it is.
Yeah.
But also that the game itself is just like feels not done in like a fundamental way.
Well, it feels not done, and it's like a not done game that should have released in like 2013.
Yeah. Like
a bad take on a game that should have released like 12 years ago.
Yeah. In some ways, I was reading a little, like, conflicting reports of, like, them trying to rush it out to beat, like, Grand Theft Auto 6 before release.
Okay.
And that, like, it was supposed to be part of their other project, which we can talk about.
Yeah.
But it's, like, Gene Park wrote a review, too, for the Washington Post, and it's, like, you just randomly get mission failures. Like, you walk too slow, you fail. You drive too fast, you fail. You try to steal a car, you fail. You succeed in a mission, and you fail.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really offer you information a lot of the time on, like, what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a timer that implies that you're supposed to finish it before the timer, but the timer will go into negative time, so it doesn't even... sometimes there's a timer and it doesn't show you a timer, but it was on a timer. Yeah,
some review I read was like, I failed an escort quest one time because I got too far away from the escorts, but I didn't know that I was doing an escort quest or that I was supposed to be near those people.
Yeah. And yeah, they were originally and are still, I believe, working on like a larger concept thing that's essentially supposed to be like Roblox or Fortnite. But
like Roblox for older teens.
Yeah. Like using more realistic visuals and stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to Roblox's like blocks.
Yeah.
Essentially. And so MindsEye is supposed to be like a subset of that and sort of uses those tools.
Right. And you were supposed to be able, and I think maybe can on PC, build your own, like use those tools to build your own like little missions in MindsEye.
Yeah. Yes. So there's that too.
Yeah. It's the whole thing is wild to me. And it's really unfortunate to, what most of the reviews say about this game is like, it's not even, there's no way this game will even be so bad it's good.
Yeah.
Right? It's buggy, but worse than that, it's boring.
And yet they are, like, updating and patching it, which I feel like is another, like, side to this of, like you were saying with Insomniac, they released Fuse. It was kind of bad. Then they made more games.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't patch Fuse to make it a good game.
That's true. I haven't thought about that, or I haven't thought about that too much recently. The cost of being trapped trying to fix something. Why do we do that?
Well,
that's a big question,
cases,
I realize, but
I do feel like thinking about like Cyberpunk. I think that
Sure.
a lot of people who worked on Cyberpunk were passionate about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you release a game early and unfinished because corporate told you to, right?
Sure.
Or, so on and so forth. And for stuff like big bugs that you just didn't know about until it released, like that's different than I feel like game saving campaign of patches.
To be clear, I'm not coming out here against bug patches.
Yes. But it is like, if you're trying to patch like fundamental mechanic shifts or like changes into your game because it wasn't done before release, or like people don't like it, and some of that's like early access and that's just like built into it. There's an expectation of it. Yeah. But I mean, some of it's like passion, right? Like believing in a game, I think. But I also think because some of it is like passion, we've built like an expectation from the player side to be like, well, I bought it, so you owe me a better product.
Yeah.
Right? You fix it. And I feel like that's maybe unreasonable.
Well, I think it's such a... Cyberpunk is the interesting counterexample here, right? I mean, this game also... there was a lot of skepticism about this game heading into it, but obviously they were trying to hype it up in a big way alongside this everywhere Roblox system, right? But Cyberpunk is an interesting example because I don't really feel like the reviews at the time were like, this is a bad game. They were like, this was criminal false advertising and probably needed some more time.
Yeah.
So on one hand, disastrous launch, really hard to recover from. On the other hand, large enough company and underlying good enough reviews that you could say, all right, like, let's grit our teeth for another few months and try to save this.
Yeah.
And of course, sometimes you have No Man's Sky type things where you manage to take a game that people don't like and turn it into something, but like, there's nothing here.
Yeah. I think that is the problem. And
there's no opportunity. That's the thing.
There's no heart in it, is the thing.
Well, but I just mean like, okay, Cyberpunk was such a huge news story when that happened, right? That in some ways, that's a blessing, right? I mean, it's a curse. What a disaster, right? But it's a blessing because this game was so hyped and there was so much news about it that if you fix it, people are going to cover that. And then people will want to try it because it was such a disaster. And this game was a disaster, but I think it does not have, and like most games, does not have the level of hype where you can trust that you're going to get another shot at any kind of sales window. Yeah.
I mean, there was that game that Arcane released. I can't even remember the name of it anymore. The like 4-person vampire game that they were trying to fix. And then there was Concord, which they tried to fix for a little bit before giving up on it. And then there's like this. And I think that, this game is such like a cynical, like kind of soulless release. And I feel comfortable saying that because Build a Rocket Boy was also like shedding employees all the time.
Yeah, your chief legal officer and chief financial officer leaving a week before your release is not awesome.
No.
And they laid off, or at least gave people notice of layoffs.
Yeah.
A lot of people after this.
Yes. So I just don't think that there's anything like in its core that's appealing to the point where it's worth it to do anything with it, right?
Yeah.
But it is like, you know, we talked about Sunset Overdrive is the opposite of The Last of Us, and this feels like such a like response from someone who was forced out of Rockstar of like trying to do their own sort of GTA thing. And
Except
GTA
that it's
6
nothing like
will...
GTA.
You drive.
Okay, yeah.
You drive cars.
That's true.
You shoot things, I guess. But yeah, you know, we had The Last of Us invent narrative, and GTA 6 will end all video games forever.
I mean, probably cars.
And probably cars. Yeah.
And theft.
Yeah. It'll all go down in a big screaming litany of capital A's.
Yeah. That's right.
The first game.
So this game, I mean, as I was saying, this game is supposed to be part of this, like, Roblox, like, metaverse situation called Everywhere, which theoretically still exists. This game is also interesting in that it was announced as something 100% different, really, from what it was. They said they were making MindsEye, but it was supposed to be episodic. The episodes were supposed to be connected to each other, but not, like, directly. You were supposed to play it really only through Everywhere, this metaverse thing. And this game is not that.
Yeah. Although it does seem to have, like, portal things that
Sure.
takes you to, like, Split Fiction-esque, like, side missions. Maybe that's a remnant of, like, the episodic thing that it was
Perhaps.
supposed to be. But it does kind of feel like they, for some reason, decided to make this into, like, a release of its own, like, last minute.
It's really just baffling. And I really need, like, a Jason Schreier, like, inside the company piece on this. Because I read a little bit of stuff that was like, the Glassdoor reviews are really bad.
Yep.
And it's kind of a cult of personality. And what's going on here? But I really want to know what's actually going on here. Here's a question for you. I've come out firmly on this podcast in saying there's not really space for any kind of massively online shooter situation anymore. Fortnite and Apex and any number of those other ones have pretty much cornered the market. Right? And yeah, maybe there's space out there for some sicko to get really, really lucky somehow and break in. But, like, you're not going to break in. Is there space for a Roblox-like situation, Minecraft-like situation like this?
The thing is, I think they're just playing in Minecraft.
Right?
People do wild stuff in Minecraft.
And I say this as someone, I mean, not that I play Fortnite or anything like that, but, like, I am more aware of the depths and contours of those games than, like, Roblox is mysterious to me.
I know.
It's not, I understand what it is, but I'm also like, huh? What's happening here?
I mean, it is essentially like everybody wants to do this since Roblox has done it, of like creating like a space where the users will make content for you, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? For, you know, like altruistic and very not altruistic reasons, or creative or not very creative reasons, let's say.
Yeah.
And I really think it's sort of like, I don't know, you can't force it. Right. And I don't know if they'd really want to play around with like these hyper realistic graphics things to make experiences.
Well, what I was going to say is I agree with you that, like, maybe that's not something that the average person can do, right? Mm-hmm. However, if we put that aside, I do see that there does feel like there should be an opening for one of these for adults. By which I mean to Minecraft to a slightly lesser extent, but definitely, I mean, Roblox is perceived as for children.
Right.
Even though there are plenty of adults making games that exploit children for money in Roblox. Sure. And even though we're going to make Like a Dragon fanfiction.
Official Like a Dragon fanfiction, yeah.
Canon compliant. In Roblox. Like, that's for children. Or even if you take away the for children, both Roblox and Minecraft have these very similar, blocky aesthetics. And so it does seem like, theoretically, there should be space for a metaverse that is, like, serious, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're in deep enough with Roblox or in deep enough with Minecraft, you will know it is very serious. But it does seem like, there should be a space for this that, like, someone who has a LinkedIn page, like, would use it.
But they're just, like, all in on the they can jump in Facebook. Fakely.
Yeah, I know.
They can fake jump with their fake legs.
I'm all in on fake jumping. I understand that.
If you have a LinkedIn, you're looking at all these, like, tech companies doing stuff, and they're, like, sad little metaverse things, you know? And if you're, like, an adult nerd, like, I just watched a 2.5 hour long ish video, 1,000-player rich versus poor Minecraft, which was like a Game of Thrones season. So
great.
They're just doing that on their own, right? Mm-hmm. They're not gonna play your MindsEye game experience in there. I don't know.
Well, Emma, how much were you paid to say that?
$2.
Those negative things about this. How much money did you receive from Rockstar?
$2 from Rockstar.
So yes, I would be remiss to not mention about this game also before we mash. One, they did not send out any review codes.
Yeah.
Which is always an indication of the game that's going to be good. And two, okay, wait, who was the person who actually did this? The co-CEO, right? Mark Gerhard, went on Discord and said multiple times that he basically thought that there was a paid campaign for negative reviews and negative social media and negative discussion about the game. And like somebody said, a co-CEO for a studio implying another studio. Like, he basically implied that Rockstar was trying to tank this game because they hate what's-his-face. And the person said, a co-CEO for a studio implying another studio is paying previewers to talk negatively about your game is an absolutely wild comment to make in a public environment in any situation. Mark Gerhard replied, not wild when it is true.
Yeah.
IO that published the game, and by the way, is now like, I don't know, this game was so bad that maybe we aren't publishing other people's stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Was like, we don't think that this happened.
Yes. They're like, maybe this game was bad. Actually.
Yeah. Considered this game was bad.
The lead actor has also been, like, very critical of them releasing the game like that, for what it's worth. Which, for what, I'm sure he didn't know.
Yeah.
Until it came out.
How would he have known?
Yeah. He was also in Mafia 3, apparently. Which was also apparently a bit of a buggy mess when it came out. So he's had some poor luck with the projects he's been on.
It's tough out there. Well, speaking of things that are tough.
Let's make the worst game.
Yeah, right.
Colorful.
It kind of needs to be bad. There is a tension here between being a, like, incredibly boring sort of stealth-based shooter and a really loud, not stealth-based shooter.
Yeah.
So that's a little tricky. I mean, the thing that comes to mind is like, oh, like Fortnite, where you're like building your own cover super fast. Have we considered Fortnite?
I am always considering Fortnite.
Fortnite would not be an unvalid mashup for these two games, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree. And just like in Fortnite, if you wander too far off the beaten path, you are hit with acid rain and you die.
That's right.
And fail.
That's correct.
So that's bringing in the MindsEye energy. Yeah, we always talk about there's so many times you've said like this mashup is impossible, but we've always been talking about like functional games.
Okay, here's something that popped into my mind that I actually think does capture the spirit of both games and could be interesting. It's not formed enough to talk about gameplay, but let me give you concept and see if you can help me.
Okay.
So one thing that people found annoying or delightful, if you're IGN, I guess, about Sunset Overdrive is that it is constantly reminding you that it is a video game. It's like, this is a game. You know, that's really bad raspberry, but you get the idea.
I didn't even know that's what you're trying to do.
Okay, shut up, pig in a barrel. But it could be interesting to have a game, you know, some kind of action adventure-y linear game where the mechanic is that you are like using bugs, like you're in a game and like the way that you navigate or the way that you fight or engage is by like bugging the game.
I do feel like this always comes up as like a joke, and I never know if it would actually work in a game, but like the enemy that attacks your frame rate or whatever.
Yeah. Like that would be cool.
You like attack the enemy's frame rate.
Having to like use cheat codes. Yeah, attacking frame rate would be good. Like moving into an area where your hardware isn't strong enough. Yeah. Moving into an area where the music is intentionally designed to make you bad at the game.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think there's something to this.
It's a very aggressive experience, but I do see it as a mashup. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
I unfortunately do feel like almost inevitably Hazelight will make something that is like kind of like this at some point.
Yeah.
It just feels like kind of their aesthetic. Like the two people know they're in a video, like they're trapped in a video game kind of energy.
That could be a fun co-op game, too, of like, how fast can you crash the other person's computer?
Yeah. I think I'm onto something here.
Yeah, there's something to that. It's a sort of game that's like fun to think about conceptually, but kind of would not work on paper, which, to be fair, is like a true mashup of these games, perhaps.
Yeah.
So.
This game would probably be bad. I mean, fortunately, because neither of these games are that long, like it could be like a 12-hour experience.
12-hour experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, the short 12 hours, you know.
That is short.
I know. The brisk 12-hour experience.
We could do it episodically, like it was originally going to be. And something about this game has to suggest that we would be great for making the next Superman game.
Yeah. When you take off, like the bug where you jump really high, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. They'd be like,
Oh, Superman.
Yeah, you have to do something with like a T-pose.
Yeah.
Like phasing, like clipping through walls.
Yeah.
I got onto something. And we can make references, much as Sunset Overdrive makes references to other games and other media, and it's Respawn. Like, we could make references to other famous game glitches.
Yeah.
We can do, like, the Skyrim horse shoots you way into the air glitch.
Yeah.
Or, you know, Rosebud in The Sims, or whatever. Cheat code.
There's something.
Good. Feel proud of myself.
Could be allegedly a game.
Allegedly a game. Also, we should hint that blockchain is involved. It's not, but we should hint it.
Oh, man.
Anyway, listeners, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
Listeners, were you paid to say negative things about MindsEye in the lead up to its release on social media by Rockstar Games? Do you think that a game should be a buggy mess when it releases? Do you think all games should have skateboards? I think Emma probably does.
I do love a skateboard.
If you have thoughts about this or anything else we talked about this week, hit us up on social media. We're on Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, and YouTube at Talk This Podcast. You can also visit our website, www.talkthispodcast.com, where you can read all about the show, check out the games Emma's about to pull from the hat, and read our blog, where you can read all sorts of video game coverage and mostly Emma thoughts and episode overviews and that kind of thing. But most importantly, if you enjoy the show, you should subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Pandora Podcasts, online on the app, Overcast, Pocket Cast, wherever you can find podcasts. Subscribe to Talk This, so you never miss an episode on Sundays at noon. Emma, can you get Silk Song into the title again? Just kidding.
I'll try my best. No, probably not.
Okay, it's Emma's side quest next week, but what are we talking about in 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks, for our old game, we're talking about Chibi Robo.
Sick.
And for our new game, we're talking about Fantasy Life I, the girl who steals time.
Cool. So look forward to that, when it will be almost October.
True.
And we will be 2 weeks... No, by that point, we'll be 1 week away from me saying, another 6 weeks!
Yep.
I better start playing some games. Well, that's it for this week's show. Thanks for listening. Emma, send us off with some worlds of wisdom. I did that on purpose.
This week I hope that all your mistakes are goofy and fun.